Goedemiddag dames en heren, daar zijn we weer in de volgende workshop. De vorige was van Clear Sense, nu krijgen we een workshop van Accenture. And as you may have experienced in the main room, there was a fake Steve Jobs. And now we have a fake Harald Polak, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're not Harald and you're going to tell us who you are and why you're here.
Yes.
So please take the stage. Give him a hand. His name is Mark Inskip.
As you've obviously worked out, I'm not Harald, so he sends his apologies. I'm Mark Inskip, and I work at Accenture. And you might be wondering, why on earth are Accenture at a conference like this, where we're talking about digital and business drivers, e-commerce, all that great stuff? Well, I'm here for, I think, a very good reason, although I don't want to give this presentation, but I'll come back to that in a moment. I work in a practice within Accenture called Marketing Sciences. And we are a global practice. Hello? We are a global practice that have kind of 4 areas of work where we work with marketing teams, business teams. So there are 180,000 employees in Accenture, and 179,500 of them are building IT systems stuff. I've got no idea how it works. We focus on the business element. How do we drive revenue? How do we improve performance? How do we get bigger bang for buck? And we do that in 4 key areas. Media, pricing versus quality versus optimization. How does that work? Merchandising and trade marketing. Optimization of pricing and promotion and stock items and logistics using some great analytics. The analytics team, specifically focusing on return on investment and whether that be is my marketing team underinvested versus my sales team? Or is my digital underinvested versus my TV? But we do it slightly differently. Most of the analytics that you can kind of go and buy look backwards and kind of give you an opportunity to kind of pat yourselves on the back. And what a great job you've done. You've invested well over the time. All of our work in this space is about looking forwards. We have a unique approach which we call future view. And last, but by no means least, digital. Digital's the bit that I run in Europe. It's my baby, I suppose. And we are looking to work, and we work with marketing directors, particularly in helping improve online presence, online performance, conversions, experience, all the things you would expect. Now, it's quite strange for me, from one perspective, being here. You know, I'm used to being sat down there. I'm a client. You know, I was a marketing director in financial services, in utilities, in automotive. I worked for AkzoNobel, which is a company I suspect maybe even people here, but certainly some people that know them. They're a big employer here. It's quite interesting. And I think I said glibly, I don't really want to give this presentation, and there's an important reason for that. We've got lots of people all over the world. It's great stuff. The reason I don't want to give this presentation is the brief that I was given by Harald, and so it's his fault. That actually you wanted to hear about one of our offerings, digital optimization, which is our term for multivariate testing, which I know you just heard about, so you probably don't want to hear about it again as well. But I didn't want to talk about that. I'm going to, because that's my brief, and I'll cover some of that. But I don't want to cover it because I'm kind of fed up of talking about sticking plasters. Little things, you know, that we go and kind of walk around here, you know, that you need to buy a new analytics solution. You need to buy a new agency. You need to get some better navigation on your website. You need to get some better processes, some more IT. Lots of little bitty things that are distracting away and confusing many organisations that we work with away from the real issue. And piecing that together. So what I wanted to talk about is our program where we talk and work with organisations around fixing the whole thing. Stop with the sticking plasters, buying new things and changing and tweaking. To take a step back, understand why and how, and what the role of your online business and business is what the role of online business is in your business. Ooh, that's a mouthful. So to do some of that, I just wanted to explain. And I'll talk a little bit about some of our assets that we use and hopefully share a few insights with you. The first thing, just to explain, this is officially the biggest I've ever seen this slide. It's quite scary. I kind of explain, I can normally reach, but I can't quite reach the top ones. You'd expect Accenture to be here. You know, we are. We build hundreds of websites and web businesses all over the world, everything from Diageo to the NFL to some air sites to bits and pieces of Amex to all sorts of things all over the world. That's great. Again, you might be a little more surprised to learn that we've got something to say in the bit at the right at the top. I think I've got all this stuff up here. This is traditionally where marketing sciences as a practice has played, is supporting CMOs and marketing organisations in the strategy. What's the role of digital? What's it for? How does it fit within my organisation? How am I going to make money out of it? And media, particularly, optimisation. Am I getting bang for buck? I mean, is anybody aware in here of the range of when you're negotiating your banner ad pricing with your local agency? And we regularly send. And do you include in the discounts that you operate? Do you include the ad serving? You might not do. Many don't, because the agencies often put that in as a separate bit. Well, we'll often find when we review the data that we find a 300% to 400% range in ad serving costs. 5 pence to 35 pence a thousand. If you're at 35 pence a thousand or 50 cents a thousand, you're massively overpaying. But then there's this bit in the middle, and this is the bit that this is the bit that we really like. Okay, and you've just heard Omniture, I think, talking about analytics, and there's some great stuff in there. But we've got, again, a slightly different perspective on it, and I'll cover that in a moment. This optimization piece and user experience piece, there are plenty of suppliers and people around here, but again, it's the challenge of piecing this all together and using this whole middle layer as the answer to kind of many of the problems that kind of challenge organisations. I mean, we're going to talk to, I kind of have been there, but we kind of go and talk to organisations now. And the marketing guys, most of you guys, I think, from the show of hands are, in that space, and that's kind of what you do. And you think you own the website. I can tell you for certain, the IT guys think they also own the website. Damn marketing keep coming with these thousands of itty-bitty little requests. They want this, they want it yesterday, they want me to do this. It's my site. I'll put it through my process and it'll happen in 6 months when I'm good and ready. And it's the challenges and this constant challenge and push and challenge between the two areas within organisations that we work a lot on resolving. And we use a lot of these tools, and we kind of describe these tools as the kind of the translation often, the middle ground where we can get agreement and we can get consistency. And when we often walk into organisations, it's the bit that everybody knows about, but nobody really knows about. We talk to the IT, IT own web analytics, yeah, we own the analytics. You talk to the marketing guys. Yeah, we absolutely own the analytics guy. Or vice versa. Oh, marketing, yeah, IT own that. Yeah, so that's all good. Yeah. IT. Oh, no, marketing are looking after the analytics. And we find that this whole middle layer generates a huge amount of opportunity and interest within organisations. But what we look to do is to try and kind of raise it above. So, how do we get from stop doing sticking plasters, stop just buying extra little bits of things to fix today's problem, which will create more problems tomorrow? When we normally walk into organisations, this is what we find. I'm being overly harsh, some are better than this, but generally, we don't find a degree of alignment, understanding, consistency. We sit around a table. Do you know what the role of web is, Mr. Sales Director? Yes, it's to sell more. Do you know what the role of web is, Mr. Marketing Director? Yes, we do. It's to build the brand. Do you know what the role of the web is, Mr. Customer Services Director? Yes, because we want to take some cost out of the call centre. And it goes on and on through the editorial director, through the IT director. Everybody has a different opinion. And it's really simple. This is kind of we put it, it's kind of copyrighted and proprietary, but it's kind of not rocket science. This is pretty simple. Set the direction, and I'll talk a little bit about each of these. Innovate, implement well, and optimise. It's not hard. But actually within the confines and constraints of working within large or indeed small organisations, getting that set up without the appropriate tools and support is very challenging. Clearly, the end objective is to get them all lined up. So how do we do it? Now, I'm not going to drag you through an Accenture presentation of 100 slides and kind of bore you into submission. I'm going to go through about 5 slides and then I'm done. I'm out of here. You can get a coffee, get a beer, chill out, and we'll kind of work through. I'm going to go through direction, innovation, implementation, optimization very quickly. I will spend a little bit more time on here on the optimization piece because that's the piece that I've been asked by the organisers to talk about and by Harald, but I will touch on each of these in turn. Firstly, one point on direction. I've got lots of things that I could talk to you about on direction, but the point of putting all of these together is to build a sustainable, repeatable, ongoing programme for success and measurement within the organisation. You know, you've just had the Omniture guy on here. We like Omniture. It's a great system, but you know, lots of organisations buy it, or buy Web Trends, or buy Core Metrics, or buy one of the others, and measure everything. You know, I sit in meetings, and I can, you know, the analytics manager going, I measure so much. You know, if I printed this out, I could fill a room with paper. I get amazing data. Why are you measuring it? What are you trying to achieve? Wouldn't it be better to measure 4 things that matter rather than 1,000 things that don't? And it's getting to that point of clarity of really understanding why you're measuring to be able to set the direction. So the direction's got to be in line with what the organisation is trying to achieve. And we've got 4 simple things. Again, you can see, you know, I'm quite a simple guy. We like simple things. You know, fundamentally, whatever business you're in, whatever industry, wherever you are, there are only 4 things that ultimately you want your web presence to deliver for you. You want more volume, on the premise that more volume is better than less volume. You want more experience, a better experience, on the premise that a better experience is better than a worse experience. You want more conversions, on the premise that more conversions are better than fewer conversions. You're spotting the pattern. And you want less cost, on the premise that less cost is better than more cost. Now, each industry, organisation, business, the balance between those is different. And actually, entirely focusing on conversion or driving in loads of volume can have a massive impact on conversion. So they're all absolutely intrinsically and completely interrelated. But understanding as an organisation what that balance is for you will actually help clear up lots of this around how you measure and what it is, and clarity around what it is you're trying to achieve. But that's the first part. Now this is setting the direction, and there's lots more I could talk to you about capability and about consistency, but I'm not going to. The second part is then innovate, do something interesting. Now, the online space is a huge opportunity to step change and lead. In our humble opinion, using this methodology, which I'll talk through in a moment, all but four of the world's biggest and best brands' websites are failing. Okay? There's only 4 that are achieving a pass mark. Not an A, not a B, a C. Now, why do we say that, and how do we do that? We've got a methodology where we review. There are 10 high-level factors, navigation information service, I know you can kind of read the slide, where we review around 350 of the world's biggest and best websites. We review them 3 times a year. Beneath each of these 10, there are another 30 or so more individual factors, and each of those 30 have got 3 or 4 scores that we look for. So it's a pretty comprehensive and robust methodology where we review the experience. It's deliberately a little bit subjective because we want to capture what the end user is going to think. This isn't a tick box. Have you got site search? Yes. Brilliant. Can you actually find anything? Is probably a more relevant question, and that's the question we ask. So we look for this. We build a database. We're looking for examples of web excellence and delivery excellence. What we like to do then is align them to what you might want to do as an organisation. What does success look for you? Remember, if I refer you back to this slide, what does the direction, what is it you're trying to achieve? So this isn't about buying the asset, the web evaluator, in isolation and another sticking plaster because I know I sit around the board and the MD tells me that the website's terrible because his wife hates it or the chairman doesn't like it, or you know yourself the website's not very good. So of course this can help that, and we'll get to that saying this can help. But actually the important point is not about whether it's good or bad or indifferent. It's about how it's supporting and driving the business and its objectives. And understanding what a consumer thinks in relation to those outcome drivers is a critical part of what we're trying to achieve. And really all we do then is bring back some best practices. And I have lots of debates with clients. I'm working with a major telco. And one of the things we've shared with them is some examples of how Apple do some fantastic work in navigation and search, and how Nike are doing some really clever work in how they brand and how they do some consistency, and Adidas. And they said, that's not fair. You can't compare. I've got to sell phones. I'm not cool like Nike. And And it's not about you're better or worse. The scores are interesting and always provoke lots of debate and lots of heated emotion. But it's actually about the insights and the innovation. We're not saying copy Nike, copy Apple, copy Google, copy Yahoo, copy some of the sites that we think do some things well. What we're saying is there's an opportunity that those guys have thought about the problem a bit different and take some of the insight that they've got and apply it to your challenges. And we piece that together and we work that together to drive out a set of targeted innovations that actually begin to deliver against those business outcomes that you desire, the drivers that you're looking for. How am I doing? Second, digital diagnostics. This is the third part around implementation. So we can have a brilliant direction. We know what we're trying to achieve. We can have a hugely innovative site, but it can be rubbish because of the quality of implementation. And there are many implementation errors that build. The more frequently you update and drive the site, and increasingly if I go back 3 or 4 years, that used to be a 6-monthly, maybe an annual program. Today, for many businesses, it's an hourly program of change. And wherever you sit on that scale, the more frequent those changes are, the more errors that I guarantee will be in your site. So we have the ability to scan a site, and I know there are some kind of link checker things you can go and do free on the web and all sorts of things like that. This is an entirely different scale of a solution. It's completely unique in its ability to scan 100% of a website. So a link checker, if you imagine if you've got navigation where you're using JavaScript, so where you get multiple drop-down options of where you might want to navigate to, link checkers can't really cope with that. Well, we will go and execute every single one of those options and follow every single one of those options through to its completion. So we get a complete picture of the site. But what do we get a picture of? What do we find? Well, interestingly, I'm following on from Omniture, we find how well you've implemented your analytics tags. On average, across the Fortune 500, 22% of those tags aren't working or aren't implemented. So you've just gone and spent all this great money with Omniture, and 28% of your data is wrong that you're making these important decisions on. You've suddenly got this fantastic clarity of your pipe through the site. Well, 20% of it's wrong. We also find if any of you kind of media, and double-click tagging, the stuff you get paid on, we find on average 18% of those tags aren't working. 18% revenue opportunity overnight. But it's not just about tags. It's about usability. How many broken links have you got? We just recently scanned a very large consumer electronics brand, and they had 4,000 broken links on their site they didn't know about. External links, page size, download times, accessibility compliance, security and privacy compliance, searchability, visibility to the search engines, the ability to be able to check whether you've installed document properties, H1 tags, meta tags, all the great technical stuff. There's about 130 different things that we look for out of the box. All of it's completely customizable. But what it enables us to do is sense check and validate the quality of implementation, but from an outcome driver perspective. So from this, you can't read it, which is disappointing. But in here, this is the summary of a lot of what we find, and up here are the outcome drivers, and we use those outcome drivers then to prioritize what it is we need to fix. Because we found 1 million images on one site that were broken, that weren't working properly. We find lots on all sites, always. And we work very hard then to bring this back, not to you need a better analytics provider, or you need another new Band-Aid, another new plaster to stick on it to fix it. No, it's about fixing the most important things to drive the business outcomes that you're seeking, all the way back to that direction piece. How do we improve business performance to deliver targeted remediation, to fix the things that need to be fixed that are going to drive the outcomes that are important to you and your business? Steady. Right, so the last piece, optimization. So we know what we're doing, we've got a great direction, we know what we're trying to achieve. It's a fantastically innovative, engaging, interesting site that's going to bring people back, improve their perception of the brand, have a great conversion. It all works. And I can see what's working and what's not working because I've scanned and I understand the quality of my implementation. It's not finished, unfortunately, because it never is. And I know the guys from Omniture have just talked a little bit about multivariate, so I'm not going to bang on about it. But there are some important and differences that I'll just highlight that he kind of may or may not covered all of them. You're clearly now aware of the concept. So in the good old days, if you wanted to change this banner and improve the click-through rate from there, you'd come up with a couple of challenges, classic A, B, C, D, testing, challenger, control, all that great stuff. Now, the thing that's unique about our multivariate testing solution is the element around choices, the choices that people make. So we build our technology on a different set of statistics. And I couldn't claim to be able to do this. It won a Nobel Prize for economics. It's quite clever stuff. But the most important point about it, I won't do it now, come on, there we go, is being able to understand the relationship. So not just which bit did the best. So of this element that I changed, this one was the best element, and of this one, this element was the best element. I can identify which individual elements perform the best. Which ones perform the best in which combination? Does that make sense? It's subtle, but very different in terms of it's like you can have the best individual parts collectively together on the site, and individually they will be the best pieces. But if you put them together, you may well get a very different answer. To try and bring that to life a little, I've got a quick eBay review. We kind of work with those guys. This is one of their pages. And clearly the starting point is what you do is we chunk the page up. So we sit and work in a lovely workshop with the eBay team and talk to them about what are the chunks and what are the things that we might influence. So clearly we've got our navigation in the categories. We've got content left, content right, top, header and button. And working with those guys then to try and hypothesize, what do we think is going to make a difference? So we come up with some options. So let's take the button. So we're trying 4 variations of that. You might think fairly minor changes. I can't share all the results with you, but trust me, they're not in terms of the impact that they make. We'll change some headers. So we'll have 4 options of headers. We can also switch things on and off to drive out multiple options and multiple variations of the site delivered to a consumer. Content top, do we go with the charity angle, the brand, the keywords, or the price? This is the hypothesis. What do we think is going to be the thing that's going to deliver the outcome, the thing that I'm looking to achieve? Not I want to go and do a bit of multivariate testing because apparently that'll fix it because that's what I'm being told to buy. How do we drive the business outcomes and deliver against the business objectives? So what we ended up testing was 4,096 combinations over about 3 weeks. And in this case, delivered a 17% increase in conversion from that page. 17% is quite a lot. I can give you other case studies. We've recently done a test in financial services where we increased conversion by 300%. And it was, I think I heard the question before, well, creating all those creative options costs a lot of money. In comparison to even a 17% uplift in conversion in most business sectors, it's paid, the ROI is kind of through the roof. So, the other thing to consider is that when I'm talking about choice and what's the optimal combination of all of these elements working together to deliver, actually then it's also to deliver those to different segments. And now this, in this case, is visitor, buyer, seller. In others, it could be those who have arrived directly or those that arrive from search or those that arrive from banner or new visitor, second repeat, first return, third repeat, fourth repeat. However you can identify and segment, we can then work to get the combinations of the copy the most optimum to deliver the business outcomes. Last slide. So really just trying to piece it back together, just to kind of say, look, there are a ton of sticky plasters you can go out and buy. A ton of things that will undoubtedly have an impact on your performance, and they're all important. You should have analytics. You should be doing multivariate testing. You should be working closely with some of the best agencies. You should be using some of the tools. You should be accessibility check. Hey, I absolutely agree. But our challenge, our thinking, the way we think we're a little bit different and what we're trying to help and trying organisations achieve is to stop having to buy sticking plasters. Stop having to buy Band-Aids. Is to build a sustainable, ongoing, robust capability within a business to deliver ongoing, sustainable improvements in performance. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Als iemand vragen heeft, is er nog wel tijd voor?
Als iemand vragen heeft, is het nog wel tijd om die te beantwoorden. Zou je dan misschien even willen zwaaien naar ons? Oh, you made it pretty clear.
Hey.
Yeah, Mark, thanks for your time.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Dit was de laatste workshop in deze zaal. Je kunt nu naar de grote zaal gaan voor de laatste keynote speakers of natuurlijk nog een side event bezoeken.